In this lesson, we're going to log back in as Hannah, and we're going to create the overview page where Hannah will be able to view some basic analytics about the number of jobs that have recently been applied to. And we will also represent some of that data within a chart element, and that is something new. So let's dive in and see how it's done. So I'm currently in the demo app. Okay, this is what we'll be building. We're going to build it from scratch. We have total applications, last 7 days applications, which is an important metric to see how we are doing basically within a 7-day time frame. Then we also have this chart element to be able to represent our month-on-month data. How many applications per month were made? So I'm still logged in as Sam from the previous lesson. I'm going to log out. Go back to this. Oh, okay, we're at the login page now. And I'm going to log in as Hannah. Okay, so that is something we need to fix in terms of where Hannah is routed to, which is the Scratchpad page. But anyway, from a privacy standpoint, we can see that Hannah can see her own data, and she can see all the other users' data because of the applied company's privacy field that we created. If Sam and Raymond had not applied to any Orbit jobs, then Hannah would not be able to see their data. Let's go to the login page and just fix this navigation. Login page, and when the login is clicked, log the user in and go to page Scratchpad. So this is where we need to route the users through to their respective dashboards. So I'm going to say for this one, company, and that's the current user's company. And we're only going to do this when the current user's user type is company. Okay, let's do the same for candidate and just change the data slightly. Copy, paste. This will now be the candidate page. We can clear the expression. And we're going to change the value company to candidate. Perfect. Change this to company /orbit. And if we click on overview, we don't get anything, and that's what we would like to create now. But let's just have a quick look at our candidates. Yeah, and here they are. So here are the candidates, and here are the job applications that have been made. Okay, let's shortlist a few here. Shortlist one of each. If we click on shortlist, working beautifully. Right, let's design this. I'm going to go across to the company page, to the design tab, and I'm going to open up my group container. And then let's open up group jobs because we're going to reuse, actually, let's open up group candidates. Okay. Now we're simply just going to copy and paste group candidates. We can do that by right-clicking, saying copy, and then click back into group container and paste. By now, you know all the different ways we could have done this. We could have done this in the elements tree, and we could have used this drop-down menu as well. Okay, so for group candidates copy, make sure we bring up the copy one. Let's change this to overview. And then on the conditional tab, change the word candidates to overview as well. This word we can change to overview. And for the subtitle, here is your workplace overview. Okay, and we don't actually need this group down here. I'm going to use my elements tree. So I'm going to say group table, right click and delete. And I'm also going to remove this group search by clicking backspace. Okay. I can see we've got some stuff here we don't need. I'm going to pick up text overview, drag it outside of this group. Yours might be called group something else. Basically, this group held the text and a button. Don't need it anymore, so I'm going to delete it. That's what we're left with. Just going to hide the group candidates above, so it pulls us back into view. Great. Now please grab a group, drop a group inside. I'm going to call this group total to represent the total number of applications. Let's change this to a group border. Group card large, no, group card medium will do. That's the one. Let's try 120. Let's grab some text, drop it inside. Let's type total applications. On the layout tab, remove the min width and the min height. Copy and paste total applications. And for this, just type a number in the hundreds. 124 is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change it to a heading 4. And dynamically, we'll come back. Let's just design this first. We'll come back to the dynamic elements. So card medium, I'm actually looking for a border here. So I'm going to detach the style, and we already have a group border. Let me just see what that is. It doesn't have any padding. Okay, let's keep as it was. I'm going to now add a border to this. So solid, our border color, 8 in the roundness will do. Now we can call this one group border medium. And create. So now we need a last 7 days. So let's create a new group and call that group 7 days. Copy and paste. And here we'll say last 7 days. And in the placeholder, let's just type 24. And all I wanted to do here is demonstrate how to work with dates. So we can pull any applications that were created within the last 7 days. Okay, now I want these two to be side by side in a row. So I'm going to hold down Shift so I can highlight both of them. Right click, group elements in a row container. Okay, bring up my property editor. And by the way, in the elements tree, if you double click on the icon that brings up the property editor, if you double click on the group itself or the text group, you can then change the name. So I'm going to change this to group analytics. Try that again. Didn't hit return. Okay, so gap spacing, let's use column of 20. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe there's too much width here. So on the group analytics, I'm just going to set a max width of 768. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Okay, now for our chart element. So actually, let's add a group first. So add another group. Let's call this group chart. And let's set the min height. This one needs to be a bit taller. So maybe 260. Remove the min width. And on the appearance tab, let's change this to a group border medium. Now inside this group border medium, or inside group chart, we're going to scroll down and, we're going to go to visual elements and look for the chart element. Okay, and I've not actually installed it, so let's go ahead and install more. Type the word chart, and let's look for just this basic chart by bubble, which allows us to use line, bar charts, and polar charts. Don't forget to check out the plugins as well. There's some very sophisticated chart plugins available to us. Okay, so here is the line and bar chart in the visual elements, and I'm going to drop that inside. And let's just sort out the layout. So on the layout tab, remove fixed width, remove min width, and the height. Let me just see what this is like in conjunction with the page. That actually looks pretty good. Let's use a 360 here. Yeah, I'm happy with that. 360 fixed height. Okay, so the series 1 color, let's use our brand color here. And the fill color, I'm not overly keen on, so I'm going to change that to, let's just change this to 0% opacity. I'm also not keen on showing scale. Let's think about this. Maybe we should show some scale. Scale font, let's use brand colors where we can. So that's going to be a charcoal color. Actually, for the fill data set with color, we can just uncheck this box. Okay, I like this. So we've got little plot points and we've got a bit of a scale in the background. Maybe we can change it from 10% to 5%. Grid line. Let me change it to 3%. Okay, so we've got the option to do all of these different types of charts, line, bar chart. I use bar chart quite a lot to represent monthly income for my other company called BuildCamp. But let's just keep it to a line chart for now. So the type of data is we're trying to track and plot the amount of applications that have been made. Yes, you might think to yourself, it's not the most exciting metric. Why would we track this? For educational purposes only, guys. Okay, so I just want to show you how charts work. When we get to the admin section in next week's section, in section 8, then we will start pulling in more meaningful data. Okay, because as the admin of Workplace, you'll be monetizing this. So we'll be pulling in interesting data into the charts. But let's just make a simple start and see how the data feeds through and see how we can represent data on this chart. So what's the data source? Bubble is asking. Well, we're going to go just do a search for applications and let's get those applications in. Okay, do a search for applications. Now the value expression I'm going to come back to because we actually need to configure the database slightly for this. But the label expression is basically a time-based expression. So the value is on the y-axis up the left-hand side and the label is across the bottom. So what we can deduce from this is that we're looking for value over time. Value over time. So you need those two things to be able to work with charts. So the label expression is an easy one because that's the created date. Okay. Now the value expression is a little bit trickier because basically Bubble's asking for a value, and where charts make the most sense is if you think of revenue. So yesterday you made $1,000, day before you made $500, day before that you made $20. Those are single values that will help create a chart because it's value over time. Now with applications, we actually don't have a value field, so we're going to just create one. We're going to create a number field that will be 1, represent 1, and then at least we can sum up how many applications were made on each day by summing up the value fields for each respective application that's made. So let's go back to the database, head over to data types, and on the application, there is no number field here, no value, but we do have time. Time is created date. So in this instance, I'm using a workaround. I'm going to call this a unit, and this is going to be a number field, and then create. Okay, then in app data, I just want you to go through each of these applications and just type 1 into the unit field. And that just gives us a unit to sum up and display on the chart. Now, obviously we need this in our workflow as well. So if we head back to the job page, under step 1, when we create a new application, all right, I'll wait for a second until you can catch up. We're going to set another field that is going to be called unit, and we simply just going to put the number 1 in there. All right, again, this is just a bit of a workaround because I want to know how many applications have been made, but I don't have a number field attached to an application, or I don't have a number field in an application data type. So we've just gone ahead and done that. Obviously, if this was a list of transactions, those transactions, financial transactions, those would have cost, maybe VAT, and you can start plotting charts around those numbers. Fantastic. Okay, let's head back to our company page and go find our overview. Open that up. What are these 3 issues here that are bugging me? Group no data. Okay, just click on, you will have issues the same as me. So if you click on the first one, just want you to remove this condition. And on the line bar chart, we're going to get to that in a second. Okay, so we've done the expression that is time, that's creation date. Now we have a value field, so we can say current points unit. Okay. Now, I want you to do the following. So this is a little bit hidden, but we need to actually click on the more option here. Because I want you to scroll down to group by. Because we need to group the number of applications per month, or per day, or per week, whatever we decide. Scroll down to group by. And now we're going to create a new grouping. Okay. That grouping is going to be grouped around creation date. Type of grouping is going to be per day. I'm going to set the interval of days to 1. And the start day is going to be the date that the first application was made of the company Orbit. So we need to do a search for applications where the company equals current page company. So that has to be a match. Okay, now I'm going to click on close. And then I'm going to say first item. So go back in time, first item's creation date. So that is when we should start searching for applications to plot on this chart. Go back, look for the first application where Orbit equals the company. That's when we start. Okay, and now the aggregation is, okay, so what are we summing up per day? And that's why I created, we're going to say sum, and we're going to use the unit here. That's why we created the unit field, because we have no other options. If we didn't create a unit, there'll be nothing to sum up. So one application represents 1 unit. Okay, don't worry if this is a little bit complicated. Charts do take a bit of time to sink in. We are going to be using better data to plot charts in section 8 for the admin. Okay, so this is the starter, but the main course comes in section 8. Close it when you're done. And now we just need to adapt the value and label expression, because now it's a current points sum of units. Okay, so it's a list of units that we're summing up. So on April 7th, we might have had 7 applications, and that will pull through. And also the label expression will now needs to be back to creation date. Okay, so once we use a grouped by operator, we have to reconnect these two fields. And actually, I'm just going to change the color here to black. I don't think we need our brand blue, and this is a company, so I want to keep it neutral. Okay, and the last two things we're going to do here is let's make this dynamic. So in actual fact, if we click back on the line bar chart A and click in grouped by, we can actually, I want to copy what we've done here. So copy, sorry, excuse me. Let's copy this expression. Okay, then let's go to the 124. Let's insert dynamic data, paste the expression, and just remove the end piece which says, remove from first item, backspace, and then click on the more, and now we just want the count. So the number of, search for the number of applications that have ever been made for the company Orbit. That's how that reads. I'm going to put the canvas placeholder back inside the canvas placeholder box just for design purposes. Let's do the same for the last 7 days. Now we can copy this. This is going to be similar, but one significant difference in that I'm going to paste this in and then open up the constraints. Now it has to be, we have to match the company with the current page company, but also the creation date has to be within the last 7 days. So let's click on create date. Now we're given these options here. Okay. And now I want you to say the creation date is larger than or equal to. And now we need a reference point for time. And whenever you need a reference point for time, when you're trying to calculate dates or last Monday or 7 days ago, you always start with current date and time, and then you look at what how we can either add or subtract from the current date and time to achieve the result we're looking for. So I'm going to type in date. That's going to bring up current date and time. Okay. Now click on the more option. And I'm just want to, some of this is, this drop down, can't really see what I'm doing here. Anyway, let's say current date and time. And then I'm going to say plus days. Okay. But in actual fact, we're going to subtract 7 days, but we need this option down here, this operator plus days. And then I'm going to type with my keyboard, I'm going to type -7. Then I hit return. Okay, let's look at this again. So the created date of this application needs to be greater than or equal to the current date and time -7 days. So the current date and time -7 days for me is currently the 16th of April 2024. This expression, that's the current date and time. If I'm -7 days from today, that takes me back to the 9th of April. And then this part of the constraint basically says the created date needs to be greater than or equal to 7 days ago. Okay, and you'll be comfortable with writing these expressions, but we can get very, very granular. We can do down to the second, minutes, hours, months, 1 year ago, all sorts of things here. We can change the date to the first, to number 1, which means the first of this month. Change month to second month of the year. If we put a 2 here, start at any year you like. We can extract a part of a date, such as the month or the day. All sorts of things we can do. Very powerful. And I'm going to type in the canvas placeholder 24. Okay, let's preview the page. Okay, so total applications was 5. Within the last 7 days, 4 have been made. It basically shows you the timeline for recording this course. I've been doing 1 section a week. Those earlier applications were made 7 days outside of the 7-day bracket, because this 4 came from the 4 applications we created today with Sam and Raymond. I have to go back to candidates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've got our 5 results here. This one here by Peter Hudson was created on April 1st. It's now Tuesday, the 16th of April for me. 1, 2, 3, 4 created today. So that data is correct. Okay, so this doesn't obviously render very well, but guys, don't worry about that. We will be looking at chart data, as I said, in the next section. One more thing I want to do is just format this date down here. I don't like that we've got the time here. So under label expression, I'm going to say current points creation date. I'm going to click on the date section of this expression, click on more, then go formatted. Now I'm just going to say, what we'll do is actually create our own custom one. Okay. And the one I'm after is day. And as I'm doing this, you can see that we've now got 16 down here. If I had to put another D for another day, you can see it's changed to abbreviated Tuesday. Another D gets me Tuesday. So I'm going to change this back to 2 Ds, which gives me the number, then space, then month, month, month. So now I've got 16th of April. I think we've got space for the full name of the month. So 4 M's gives me, yeah, the full 16th of April. And then close. Let's have another look. Okay, so one more thing I'd like to look at. So I left out, on the 1st of April, I noticed the chart was set to 0. So the very first one I created in the database doesn't have a unit. So I'm just going to click add 1 to the unit. I'm just going to make sure that, yeah. So do the same. Just make sure you have at least a value of 1 in the unit field for all of the applications. Now, there it is there. Now it's showed up in the chart. Okay, data doesn't lie, guys, in the database. Database is the single source of truth here, especially when working with charts. All right, folks, I think I'm happy with the overview. And yeah, time to take a break. And I'll see you in the next lesson where we are going to start finishing off this section. I'll see you then.